So it all started at a dining hall. I was sitting down at a dining hall with a friend eating dinner, and he asked me what I thought about sustainability education on campus. As Northeastern University, which I went to in 2023, 2024, I was able to help join a campaign that would get environment and sustainability as one of the types of classes you'd have to take in order to graduate. And so my friend was telling me about this, and we weren't in like a protest, we weren't at a rally, we were just sitting down and having a quiet conversation. When we think about social change, we think about these big rallies and big speeches, and we don't realize that it doesn't start right there. It starts at a one-on-one level with individual conversations between everyday people. These everyday check-ins and the unexpected questions can be the biggest factor in building a community and a movement. Let's start with one question. What is a social movement? And how do social movements organize? So a social movement is not a group of people who share a common goal. It's a group of people who share hope for change, a belief that change can happen, and a responsibility that they can contribute to making that change happen. And this is exactly what makes a movement, and not just people being organized. Sometimes movements begin with outrage, but more often they begin with people trusting each other. And this trust is not the kind that you get just from knowing other people or from normal relationships. This kind of trust is what you get when people check in and follow up again. This is the kind of trust you get when someone shows up more than once. It's what builds when people keep coming back to you. This is the foundation of something called relational organizing. And it's widely used in political campaigns or grassroots initiatives, but it's not limited to just that. It's far beyond just elections. Relational organizing is built on a simple idea that you don't build a movement based on strangers or going up to random people on the street and asking them to join you. It builds better when you start with people that you already know and that you are in meaningful ties with. People don't join movements because they're told to, but they join movements because they're invited to join something that they find meaningful. As someone who joined the Sunrise Movement a couple of years ago as a climate advocacy organization, I was not brought in by the fact that someone just asked me to show up to a meeting. I was brought in by the fact that someone told me a story that made me relate to them and was able to bring me in with that. There's evidence to support that trust is the biggest factor in building a movement. Studies in sociology and political science have shown that social trust is the biggest factor of civic engagement. Social trust is when you know that others around you are reliable and your community is connected in a way that you can work with them on anything you would like to. When your community is connected, you feel more likely to be seen, and you feel more likely to belong in a group that has similar goals, but also the same hope and the same fight that you have. When it comes to these interactions, it doesn't matter what size of interaction it is. It can just be a sincere interaction, and it doesn't have to be very important. I saw this happen firsthand when I was at Northeastern, and I was talking to my friend about that campaign that he was planning on inviting me to. And what happened was we started trying to get that curriculum requirement on the ballot for the Student Government Association elections. And we realized that change wouldn't start with the policy proposal. It would have to start with the students themselves. And it has to come from the students themselves. So what we did was we started talking to people in libraries, dorms, classrooms, and we started talking to professors, peers, and even family. And we got a lot of petition signatures, and people were able to get it on the ballot for the student government elections. And it ended up passing as a referendum for 66% vote, while also building a path forward for more policy change in the school. This example shows how I was able to use talking to people as a much more powerful tool than I thought it could be. This is not like an unusual tool. You see this across movements. You see this across climate research, or across movements such as climate justice, civil rights, labor, and it's the same pattern of people organizing communities based on connections and the connections they have. These small acts matter much more than anything they do. And they're not just acts of kindness, or they're not just acts of like daily life. These are movements that people are expressing leadership. And I've been thinking a lot lately about what leadership really is. And leadership is not just the people who you imagine at the front or giving a speech. Well, leaders are the kind of people who you see checking in after a meeting, or you see someone following up after hearing a story. And I think that knowing the true meaning of leadership will show us all how to be better leaders and better organizers. People seem to think that organizations are just built based on like a meeting schedule, and you show up every single time. It's that you go more, it's that you go forward past what you're supposed to do. And social change is not possible without these connections, because these are the foundation. They lay a brick for how we're gonna connect with each other and be tighter as a community. This kind of trust is what happens when you are able to get people to realize that they can talk more and not try to be just there in the background all the time. And having people talk to each other is one of the best things you can do, because it spreads information, it spreads knowledge, skills, and spreads goals. And people have similar goals, and your goals will spread to other people. Thank you.